Hey smokers, Druaga1 here, and today we're going to be installing Windows 2. So last night I went to the trouble of copying all the installation files from all the disks that we need to install Windows 2, but there is something crucial missing. There's no computer to install it onto. Yeah, so these aren't going to do us much good, you know, without actually being able to put them in something. So, let's go build one. Okay, so we're almost ready to start up the computer. We have hard disk. We have floppy disk that may or may not work because I don't know if it's plugged in right. We have the sound card, which probably won't get installed. And the software. So I think we're all good to go. Last thing we need to do is hook up the video on the other side here, which is right about here. Now again, this is the same motherboard that was used in the original Ultimate DOS Machine video, the Ultimate DOS Machine Revisited. And then its use was discontinued until now. Did skip one important step. There we go. So now we got the hard disk plugged in. We got the motherboard power. We got the floppy disk power. We don't have monitor power. And we don't have power supply power. I have iMac power cables. You're probably thinking, Druaga1, why don't you put all this in a case? I don't have any free cases anywhere. They're all used up by random crap. That's why I have motherboards in a box. Okay, this is starting to look a little bit busy here. Floppy drive up there. Yeah, okay. And so this is one of those old school motherboards. You have to, or power supplies, where you power it on, power it off. And I think we're ready. We're ready to start it up, ready to go. For those of you curious about the Penny 1, it can basically survive on passive cooling from the heatsink. Although its thermal paste is probably the consistency of tile grout. So let's go ahead and try it. Holy shit, that was fast. And the floppy disk seeked successfully. Why is it kind of cyan? Oh, I forgot to plug in a keyboard and mouse. That won't help. CMOS battery failed. Oh my god, it finally failed. That was a long time coming. Alright, let's power it off. Ooh, ouch. Just for old time's sake, why don't we use the original Packard Bell keyboard? As much as it feels like you're typing on sand and dust, it'll bring back some memories, you know. So I'll use this. Now, on the other hand, the Packard Bell mouse that came with the system, I'm not touching with a 10-foot pole because that thing sucks. Like, the mouse ball, like, seems like it's made out of, like, sticky tack or something. I don't know. Something stupid like that. So I'm just gonna use this mouse because it's pretty baller. Yeah, did you see what I did there? So, finally, I think we're ready to rock and roll here. Alright. Alright. Keyboard and mouse have been detected. I couldn't have asked for more. And it says we have 24 megs of RAM, which I'm a little confused at. 16 plus 8 is 24. So that means there's 8 megabytes actually on the board. And boot. Not reading drive A. That's to be expected. So we actually have a problem on our hands. This disk is not bootable all on its own. Who would have thought? Guess what you need before you install Windows 2? you need MS-DOS. And don't think I didn't forget. Now, since we have a sort of questionable legitimacy to this software here, I'm going to offset that by not only presenting some legitimate MS-DOS floppy disk, but I also have the Microsoft certified certificate of authenticity for MS-DOS. And you can even see this sort of holographic MS-DOS 6. Ooh. My only hope is that this actually still has data on it. That would kind of suck if it didn't. So let's go ahead and pop that in there and press enter. Oh yeah! Hey! Oh, what? Your computer does not have a hard disk? That's some bullshit. Oh, I see what this is. My problem is I'm not trying to install this onto an SSD or other types of flash media. I do have this. It's a 2 GB micro SD card. What's that going to do to help us? How are we going to hook this up to this? Well, if you remember the Ultimate DOS Machine Revived, or whatever the hell the name of the video is, it has an IDE to SD card reader. So, for the time being, to save some precious time of me constantly reformatting the drive, I'll just take that adapter, plug it into this, and then we'll use this to install the operating system onto. Alright, so after many ups and downs, ins and outs, reading, researching, and essentially wasting a whole lot of time doing nothing, messing with DOS, finally made some progress. So what I learned is that Windows 386 or Windows 2 actually does some weird stuff with high memory or extended memory. And it's sort of in this weird crossover period between where the newer versions of DOS like to utilize high memory to load themselves into, but Windows 386 or Windows 2 is a greedy bastard and apparently wants to use that all for itself. Now, as you probably saw in a couple previous parts, that I was trying to properly allocate the RAM so that DOS would load into the low memory area and Windows would load in the high memory or extended memory area. There. And I tried to do it on this board. This is where all the problems sort of started. So what I found out is that MS-DOS 6, MS-DOS 6.22 especially, and even MS-DOS 5, which I tried, are pretty much not compatible with Windows 2. Now, some people I actually saw before I even got to this part in the video series said that it actually is possible to do it on MS-DOS 6. I don't know how to do it, but apparently you can. So what I'm going to try here is that MS-DOS 4 is one of the versions that actually does work with Windows 2. The reason I didn't do that sooner was because when I tried to boot off of the DOS 4 floppy disk, this motherboard just said, and restarted. Every time it tried to boot it. So I dug all this, the original motherboard out, and I booted up the DOS 4 disk, and there it is. There's the setup, the DOS 4 setup. So, theoretically, this should be the final battle here, to finally get this thing working. And so I guess since you've already seen me install Windows 2 before, I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, so here's where things get confusing, and now I've already shown this on screen about the whole memset thing. But I'm pretty sure memset is something a little bit different than like high mem or something like that. So it says on the third paragraph, if you want to call that a paragraph, if you don't have a memory board installed now, who the hell knows what that means, you can still continue with setup by pressing C, and Windows will be installed for your use, though it won't be installed for optimum performance. So that means we don't need any of this. If we just want to get it running, we can. To optimize your Windows 386 performance, you can run memset at a later time. So let's continue with C, I guess. Okay. Remove this from A, reboot your system now by pressing Control-E. Set it to not update your config sys. You must do it yourself and then reboot the system. Okay. Okay, we're at the DOS prompt. Win 386. I've typed that a lot of times, and I hope it's the last. Oh my god, I did it! Yes! Yes! I did it! Oh my god! I finally did it! Wow! I fucking did it! So you need DOS 4. Don't do anything else. Oh my lord, look at all this. Oh.